Okay, so today we are going over my Imperial Desert Outpost mock. This build took me about 2 weeks to complete. I was getting it ready in preparation for displaying at Brickworld Michigan, which was super helpful to have a deadline to work towards to try and get this thing done on time. But I'm pretty excited with how everything turned out. So I'll kind of give you guys a bit of a walkthrough into my design process for this and how I came up with some of my ideas, and as well as going over some of the building techniques that I used and some new things that I learned along the way. So hope you enjoy it. So I'm just going to start off on the left hand side over here and work my way from left to right with this build. And I'll go over some of the techniques that I used for making this mock and just some of my thinking behind the story here too. So on the left hand side here, have this sort of side building, and I think that my idea behind this was some sort of an armory or a storage spot for the Stormtroopers and Imperials to keep their stuff. I initially started designing the side building and was thinking of putting it on top of this two-story main base in the center here, but decided I wasn't a fan of how that looked, so I moved it off to the side here and kind of elevated a little bit. And so this is also my first time trying to make a build with using snot to make the walls. And so this wall here is actually on a plate and it's sitting on its side underneath the roof. And so that's how I got all of the detailing in with the door and stuff like that. So you got this guy off to the side here, kind of peeking in on the Stormtroopers. And you can see with this this ship in the center here, this is a modified version of the Imperial Armored Marauder set that came out, I think, last year. And so I worked with this and kind of tried to tile off some stuff to make it look a little bit cleaner. I removed the stud shooters and came up with my own design for the gun here, and then also put some tan colored tiles here to kind of give a sort of desert weathered look to it. And then you got these guys here who've just arrested this Trandoshan and have brought him into the base, and you got some sort of Imperial officer guy here kind of inspecting what's going on and stuff. And then in the middle we have the big base itself. This is the largest building that I've made to date, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think it turned out quite nicely. I'm especially happy with the door design that I came up with. This is actually a crate piece here, and I think that those crates came in the Imperial Armored Marauder set as well as the Mos Eisley Cantina set. And so I picked up a couple extras of those to use throughout this build. You'll see them in a couple different spots. I've got them there, and I've got them off to the side here, and then also kind of up on this roof area here. But I used that and built it into this door with a snot technique so that I could have the Imperial logo on the front of the door to the building. There's no interior to the bottom section of the building. There is an interior to the top section here, which I'll show you in a second. But kind of my concept was that you'd have, sort of a main area in the bottom there, and then above that you have what could be kind of like a snack slash break area for the Stormtroopers and other Imperial officers and stuff. So you got these guys here making an exchange. He's giving him a drink of some kind, and he's giving him I think it's some Beskar there. Got people lining up waiting their turn, and then they can head up to the roof for a break. So we got these guys having some pizza, and then you've also got this dude here who's just sunbathing, which I thought was pretty funny. Moving to the interior of the top section of the building here, you've got a couple more crates in there. You got this dude having some pizza in here as well. I got this Stormtrooper in a fridge, looking to dig some stuff out. And then in the back, we have a sink and a coffee maker. These builds I actually just pulled straight from the Queer Eye set. I liked their design, and I was trying to get this build done in time for Brickworld, so just for the purposes of having it done quickly, I threw those in there. And then there's a crate of guns on the floor in the back there. So moving back to the outer section of this build again, I kind of have this communications tower looking thing here that can rotate. I did try connecting a motor to it, and I housed it in the bottom section of the building, and that worked out pretty well, but I have to have my phone connected to the hub to get that to rotate. So I think I have a clip of it rotating. I'll throw that up here, but in the future, I need to plan better on how to have better access to that, because I have to take off both top sections of the building just to turn that on, and it's pretty inconvenient. So I'll definitely be thinking that through more in the future, but at the very least, I'm glad that I was able to get it to work in the first place. So I was pretty excited about that. And then just kind of looking at some of the landscaping and stuff here, I tried to keep it relatively barren over off to the side. I have like one of these dark tan bushes in the back here, which I think is pretty cool. I used a couple of those in this build. And then also worked to try and think through like how these stormtroopers would use this area and what it would look like if they were actually here. And so I used some of the tan ingots to make sort of a pathway and a staircase up to this building over here. And so then moving over to the next section of the build here, I've got this guy who's in his rubber duck floaty, just kind of hanging out in this little pool here. And I wanted to incorporate some greenery into this build, but I was trying to think of a way to do that logically, because obviously this is a desert-based build. So thinking through that, I decided to make a hydration collection tower here. I mean, you see these in the movies and in some of the shows, and I thought it would be kind of funny to have this set up with a pipe going into this big tank here, and then the tank just spraying out into this section, which is effectively a watering hole, but I guess, you know, the concept of stormtroopers doubling it up and using it for, you know, sort of a pool to cool off, and is kind of funny. So I decided to go with that and put some greenery around it, since it's the only spot with water in the build. But yeah, that was really fun to come up with the design for that and everything. And you got this guy on his dewback there, and the dewback's drinking water out of the watering hole. And then in the back here, there's a Jawa who's stealing from the Empire here. Let's see if I can get that to focus. There we go. So he's got his saw and he's cutting off part of this hydration collector, which I thought was pretty funny. And then moving on to this palm tree design, I think I found this on, I think this design was on a YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description if I can remember exactly where that was, but I really liked the technique of using an upside down tan bush with a bar going through it, and then it connects up to a round plate with some bars coming off of it for the leaves. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it looks pretty decent. I mean, I'm happy with this design. I'll probably use it going forward in the future as well. So finishing up on the last section of the build here, you've got this Imperial probe droid that's crash landed in the desert, and try to do a little bit of landscaping around that to make it look like it hit the ground and then slid a little bit, and the sand piled up on the other side of it. We've also got this scout trooper here that's repairing his speeder bike. He's got a little can of oil in his hands. And then this last section here is the TIE fighter landing platform. And so just underneath the TIE fighter there, you can see some stickered pieces that I've used as lights in this case, but are actually from the Mandalorian Forge set that came out, I think, within the last year. So those sticker pieces I thought were pretty cool, and I was pretty excited when I came up with the idea to incorporate them into this build. And then you've got this guy who's coming down off of his ship onto the platform, and then an Imperial droid, an astromech, and then you've also got this guy here who's coming to meet him as he disembarks his ship. And then, just as a fun little Easter egg under the build here, I've got this little mouse droid, which I thought was pretty fun. All right, so that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed, please drop a like down below, and subscribe if you want to keep seeing more of this kind of content. I'm enjoying making these builds, and I hope to bring you guys some more cool stuff in the future. I should have another video coming out in about a week or so with another mock. So definitely stay tuned for that one and be on the lookout for it. But otherwise, thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you have a good one.